uddharedātmanātmānam nātmānamavasādayet ātmaiva hyātmano bandhuh ātmaiva ripuratmanah. So, I would suggest that you learn it by heart. 6th chapter, 5th shloka, 6 by 5. Very important, because such times come in everyone's life, because this world is not very straight. There will be ups and downs in life, and after all, human beings are subject to sorrow, grief, etc., misery, and the mind is volatile, people are emotional. So with such mindset, you can't expect smooth going life. So there will be pitfalls, there will be downfalls, there will be failures. So at that time, just remind yourself of this shloka and you can get up immediately. What does it say? Now, why here Bhagavan is telling about this shloka? Because in the earlier 4 shlokas what we read of this chapter, the reader will think that, oh, it's talking of something very difficult and not really achievable. How do I get a hold on my mind? It's very tough. And this disturbance is too much. So, immediately Bhagavan realizes this. Of course, Bhagavan will realize. Bhagavan knows this, that the seeker will fall into some kind of dejection and will not be sufficiently encouraged to practice yoga sadhana. He'll say, I'm fine with whatever I am. It is very difficult. So he is reminding the reader or the seeker that the life is not straight and smooth. And as many times you fall, get up immediately. Don't waste time. And get treated immediately. So it is a human tendency that suppose I fall and not much hurt, physically when I fell and I was not much hurt. So I won't try to really get inspected properly whether everything of my body is intact or not. So I'll just neglect it. And some 15 years after, some pain starts coming up in my, say, left leg, knee pain. So after examining thoroughly, the doctor said that, do you remember that you had fallen at some point of time in your life? So I will say no, because it's 15 years back and we don't pay much heed to these kind of falls. So I will not even remember, but he will insist that no, try to remember, I'll give you time. So when he gives me time, then I was insisting that I didn't fall. Then when I went back home and I was just relaxing, at that time suddenly it sparked that yes, I had fallen some 15 years back. But that was an ordinary fall, nothing happened, I was fine. That's what I thought. But the doctor linked it up. And next when I went to him, he said that is the cause of this pain. After 15 years, it is come to this level. So what was happening for those 15 years internally was not known to me. It was pressing some nerve, maybe some muscle was pulled or whatever, I don't know. It is the job of the doctor, right? So also, when the scriptures are telling us, uplift yourself. So we have to do it. Why? Because if we remain in the fallen condition, the repercussion will come so many years or ages or lives after, and I won't even know as to what was the cause. So better don't get entangled into such complications. So therefore this shloka one must learn by heart and tell to oneself, as many times I fall, whether it is a physical fall or a mental or intellectual, I must get up immediately. Uddharet atmana atmanam. Let a man lift himself by his own self alone. Na atmanam avasadayet. And let him not lower himself. Don't get into self-condemnation as well. Right? Atma eva hi atmano bandhuhu, atma eva ripuhu atmanaha. Yourself is your friend and yourself is your enemy. As such, nothing new, but how beautifully Bhagavan has coded it up. So if at that time when I had fallen some 15 years back, that fall, if I would have uplifted myself in the sense that I would have got myself checked properly, then I wouldn't have faced this after 15 years. But then can I get back those 15 years? No. So again, don't let yourself lower yourself, even with this thought that I didn't do anything at that time. Okay, I didn't do anything at that time. I was a fool. Okay, fine. Now I am no more a fool. So let me uplift myself now. So what is the best treatment, oh doctor, for me now? Possible. Second, again if I fall, I will not repeat this mistake, without which I have not learnt a lesson. So I am remaining a fool forever. So even that won't work. So very nice. Uddharet atmana atmana. But if only somebody would have helped me to get up. No. Shastras will help us. Gurus will help us. But then if I don't help myself, all the learning of the scriptures will go flat on me. So don't lower yourself. Uplift yourself by yourself. So the higher can lift up the lower. The lower cannot uplift the higher. So which one is the higher in me? Is the divine thought. Which one is the lower in me? Is the worldly thought. So let me uplift my worldly thought with the divine thought. Let me replace the worldly thought with the divine thought. Let me replace the evil with the good thought. Let me replace the selfish with the selfless thought. It is all first at the thought level itself. So the lower mind has to be uplifted with the higher intellect. So I have to train my intellect by taking the information from the scriptures. I have to cultivate the capacity of intellect to select the right thing, to discriminate diligently, and then to have sufficient strength to break the thought of the mind and to replace the lower thoughts with the higher thoughts. To that extent, I have to work upon my mind intellect equipment. So that myself becomes my true friend and it does not remain an enemy for me. So now the higher self cannot be my enemy anyway. The divine is no one's enemy. But I take him as my enemy. Like as children we used to take our parents as enemies of first row. So also anything to do with the divine I take as animosity. No. Sometimes to the extent that we'll say the scriptures are irrelevant in today's world, as though they are our enemies. The golden words explaining about the divine can never be out of context for the world, because the span of the world, the time span of the world is nothing as compared to the infinity of the supreme reality. So there can be no irrelevance of the scriptures at any point of time for any part of the world. So it is the intellect which has to be made sharp so that it can uplift the lower mind that goes haywire for the attractions of the world and can remain steady. The intellect can remain steady and well focused on the supreme. This will be the exercise. And the one who makes the supreme self as one's own friend will definitely try to do best, put best of his effort to do so. What was the purpose of this shloka? The purpose of this shloka was that after finding that these are the qualities of a yoga rudra, the seeker would have felt little depressed that it is very difficult. So here, this shloka is relevant in that way as well, that my essential self is pure and blissful and knowledge based, not knowledge based, knowledge itself. So this sense of incompleteness itself and the grief or sorrow that I suffer through lives are all irrelevant basically, but are sufficient to lower myself. So at this point I will have to remind myself that I have to uplift myself with the thought of the divine. Make the self the friend. So therefore we ask the children, the small kids, as they are growing up, that make Sri Krishna your friend. Make Lord Ganesha your friend. Don't we say that? For what? It goes to all our, it is, befitting the whole of our life in fact. Deeper we go into it, more sense we will find in this, that we have to make the Supreme our friend.